Hey, good morning. We are live in Lansing this morning, just about 12 hours since Governor Whitmer was right in the middle of her State of the State address. And we're joined now by John Sellek, a political strategist, just to kind of get reaction this morning on your thoughts on her sixth State of the State address. So initially, when we were just talking, you said last night, pretty standard.
Yeah, as far as State of the State speeches go, there's only so much you can do with it. These were designed back in, the 1800s, not, 2020 or 2030. It's not a modern thing. Governor Whitmer gave her kind of standard speech. She's really always optimistic. She's energetic. She holds the room. I think she completed that task to look good up there and delivered the speech well. And even though most people don't watch the speech at home, what the Whitmer team is looking for are the headlines that come out today that say she's working on inflation and she's working on jobs. Those are two of the issues that are at the top of the polls. And those are the headlines that they're going to see today in the newspapers and on Fox 17.
Yeah, definitely. So inflation, high costs right now, free tuition, community college, that was a big topic last night. It's kind of an interesting term for her because this year we still have two seats that are vacated, and at least until April. So it's kind of a period where maybe she won't get a lot accomplished. Right. What can she get accomplished in these first months of this year?
Well, when you give these speeches, you tell the good parts. You don't have to talk about the details yet. You'll get to that. And she'll have her budget presentation coming up in early February. We'll hear more about that. But she promised no new taxes. So for the things that she has to get the legislature to pass, like a tax cut for the child care tax credit or the at-home care credit, the free community college tuition, those kind of things she talked about on the inflationary side, she's going to need budget votes. She's going to need legislative votes to change the law. But there's some things she can probably do on her own. She talked about releasing the rest of the bonding for the road funding. Michigan still needs a lot of work on the roads. And she talked about a new housing program, which the implication is that there's funds there that she can already shift around and add to the pot for new housing, rehabilitated housing. Those are things she probably can try to do on her own, but otherwise she's probably going to go out and hit the campaign trail until the legislature gets back to full strength in mid-April.
I was just going to mention that, obviously she's a co-chair on the Biden campaign. Reproductive rights, that's a big topic of on the road to the White House. Were you surprised that she didn't bring more of that into her speech last night?
Yeah, I thought it would be a bigger piece of the puzzle, but she did spend several days leading up to this, traveling the state, talking about the issue. She got a lot of headlines for nudging President Biden to get out of his comfort zone and talk about that issue more. I think she felt that was important for her, and she probably accomplished that, right? These speeches are really made up of three parts. There's the front part where you're going to unify the room, and that's what she did by talking about the Detroit Lions. Who can't get behind Dan Campbell and the Lions, right? The second part, you brag about all the things you did last year. And with full strength Democratic majority, they passed a lot of bills, whether you agree with them or not. She bragged about those things: clean energy, earned income tax credit, retirement tax. Go down the road, she bragged about all that stuff. And the third part is usually the new stuff. And this is where the GOP had its probably legitimate complaints. This wasn't a lot of new stuff. It was probably a lot of remixes and rehash, because at this point, you're almost to the midpoint of your second term. You're trying to finish things. You're trying to get stuff done, and you want to not start giant new projects. But that population commission that was out there should have had a lot of recommendations to have a longer-term plan to fix per capita income, declining population here in Michigan. We didn't hear enough about that for the GOP to be satisfied.
Definitely. And we're actually going to have more from the GOP reaction this morning following last night's State of the State address. I'll have that in just a little bit. We'll continue our live coverage here in Lansing. But for now, Elliot Grandia, we're going to send it back to you guys and have more weather and news after the break.